Good morning. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, shall we start or wait for another 2 minutes for others to join? I think Akul has joined and again he left, I think.
Hello, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah. Vijay,
Sir.
how are you now?
Fine, sir.
Okay. So, yeah. Subodh,
Yes, sir.
just explain this OLAP concept to Vijay. Vijay and Rahul has also joined. Okay. Explain this concept to Vijay and Rahul. Good morning, Rahul. Where were you yesterday?
Sir, I went outside, sir,
Uh,
for some work with friends.
okay. Anyway, yesterday's class is there on YouTube live. You can watch it on my channel.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So, any one of you, Subodh or Vivek, just whatever I taught
Yes,
yesterday
sir.
to Rahul and Vijay. I'll give you 5 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Starting from here.
Sir, so we are studying about OLAP.
Hmm.
So we are studying about OLAP, which is online analytical processing,
Yeah.
which is a software that allows analyze information from a database.
Hmm.
So also said it is multi-dimensional.
Yes.
Like we can store more than, like in single dimension we have only rows and columns,
Yeah.
but in OLAP we can store multi uh, columns, rows, and like. So we have studied about OLAP cube and what concept, what how OLAP cube works, how we can store data. The OLAP, like we studied, the OLAP cube consists of numeric facts and uh, sir, then we study about OLAP cube from examples. सर वो example वाला पेज ले जाइएगा. Yes sir, this one.
Hmm.
So so you are seeing how the OLAP cube arrange the data, like at one of the dimension we are seeing the location of the cities, and in one dimension we are seeing time quarter, and another is the items, and uh, so to find,
So first you
like we
tell
have
them
to
tell them about
relate how
this.
the
This is a normal traditional
every
way of
square.
storing the data.
Yes sir.
Yeah.
Yes sir.
So this is
So the
normal way of
every
storing the data. So
square
this is a
the
time
cube,
consuming process, right? This will be a
yes sir.
time consuming process if you want to create Excel sheets for each location, then for each quarter and individual items. You need to create a lot of columns, rows, right, and aggregate them. So it is a time consuming process. So how does OLAP cube solve this problem, will be explained by Subodh.
Okay sir. Sir, can I explain from sir what OLAP, rollup,
No,
drill down,
first you
slice
need
and
to know
dice?
this one.
That is the main.
First you need to tell how the values are stored here.
Okay. So
Vivek, can you tell them later on?
the previous, yes.
So, I mean, it's being stored in a three-dimensional order,
Hmm.
as we all know, sir. I mean, three-dimensional order it is stored किया जाता है. I mean,
Uh,
if we consider those cities as axis, sorry, z-axis,
okay, Vivek, take one
uh,
example from
and
this
we
table.
can go, sir,
Take
एक
one
minute.
value from here. Take one value from here. Take 89. Sorry, take 38.
Yes, sir,
925.
yes, sir, yes, sir.
This one, this one.
यहाँ पे कोई let's
925.
consider nine. Okay, 925. It's from New York and quantity two. Okay, sir. Q2. Let's
Okay.
go back to the diagram, sir.
Akul, are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Vijay?
Understand it a little bit.
Okay. So now we are taking the value as
Yes, sir.
925. 925. So he will explain how this value is stored in the data cube. Continue, Vivek.
Hello. Table, sir. Just a second.
Yeah.
So go back to the table, sir.
Okay.
So 925 जो है, it belongs to New York. I mean the location is New York and the quarter is two Q2, and it is the second. I mean the SEC
Time
value
security.
925 of quarter two.
Security,
And
security.
अच्छा, या तो उसके बाद हम लोग को डायग्राम में जाना पड़ेगा. इट हैज टू बी प्लेस्ड अकॉर्डिंग, आई मीन 3D स्ट्रक्चर जो है उसके हिसाब से हमको हमें प्लेस करना पड़ेगा.
Yes. Yes.
यहाँ पे
So
करस्पॉन्डिंग टू न्यूयॉर्क,
hello.
करस्पॉन्डिंग टू क्वार्टर टू, एंड करस्पॉन्ड या वहाँ पे यस सर.
And this security here. So it has to be in the time quarter 2. So it is placed here. Okay. So I think this diagram gives you clear picture of data cube, lab cube, right? Rahul?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So suppose if I want,
Understood, sir, mostly. Sir,
if
can
I
you go
ask
to
you,
the
if I ask
previous
you
one?
from this diagram, okay, I'm asking you a question so that you can understand clearly. So I want to
Okay,
find
sir.
out number of units sold. These are the facts, right? Units, gross revenue, cost of goods sold, net revenue,
Hmm.
average sales, and these are the items, accessories, bikes, clothes, and
Yes,
components. And this is a time constraint, right? So now I'll ask you, find out number of
yes, sir.
units sold. Find out number of units sold for clothing for clothing in the year 2015 Feb. So
So we
where
need
will
to
be
go
the
to the
value?
second
Where
one.
will be the value?
It will be back on the
Which queue we
third
will
block,
choose?
sir.
Which cube we will
Left
choose? Yeah,
third
yeah.
block, sir. Left column,
This one.
third. Yeah, sir. That cube, and in that column, down one, sir.
Congestion of the what,
Clothing,
clothing.
clothing,
So that will give you the
clothing unit
total.
sold.
Yes, that will give you the total sales for that particular clothing component. That is units, number of units sold, and in the year 2015 Feb, right? So that is what you
Yes,
need
sir.
to understand. Now if I say what are the cost of goods sold in the year 2015 April for accessories?
Yes, sir. Cost of goods sold. Then it is a third, like in the cost of
It
goods
is
sold
already
and
marked here.
accessories, we need to go to April.
Blue color wala.
Uh, yes, sir. Blue one.
This one.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is how you pick individual cube, right? Based on multidimensional facts. So here we are not storing the traditional way of rows and column approach, right?
Yes, sir.
So this is 2D views data, right? You have a row, you have a column, right? You have a basically item and location. You are basically putting into this particular rows and columns way, and dividing that them into individual columns, right? So this is a traditional way of storing 2D data, which is time consuming process. So in order to overcome that, we are using this 3D data cube, where in which we can segregate multiple facts and dimensions into one particular data cube, right? So this is the advantage of using OLAP cubes. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now
Sir, does this come from the data warehouse?
yes, it comes from the data. Basically we are storing this type of data in the data warehouse only.
Okay, sir.
Okay, Vivek, continue with the OLAP operations.
आप
Hello,
करिए
sir.
सर.
कर लो.
आप या सुबोध में से कोई कर लीजिए.
सुबोध करो. पहले सुबोध करेगा, बाद में विवेक.
सर एक राहुल जी को पूछना. सर
Sir,
एक्सक्यूज राहुल.
okay.
राहुल
हाँ भाई. हाँ
तू अपना पीपीटी अपलोड कर देना भाई गूगल क्लासरूम में.
हाँ भाई, श्योर मैं भूल जा रहा हूँ यार. पक्का करूँगा आज.
देखना एक बार. हाँ कर देना.
Okay.
हम्म.
Rahul.
हाँ सब.
So there are like types of analytical process operation in OLAP, which is four operation like roll up, drill down, slice and dice, and pivot. Roll up. So roll up is also known as consolidation or aggregation. You know what is aggregation? Like binding the whole thing together. So happens in roll up operation is that we reduce dimensions. Like if you see the two, what is the difference between the two cubes? Can you point out? You see the dimensions of the cube and point out what is the difference.
Like it is grouping them into categories, grouping them into countries. The cities it is grouping into countries, and it is adding, I guess, the values
Yeah,
and all.
yeah. So we are rolling up the dimension, like we are reducing the dimension. We reduce the cities into countries. That is the basic operation of a roll up. And
Okay.
then we have Okay, sir. Next.
So basically here you see the values of Chicago and New York. These are 1560 and 440.
And also,
They are
yes,
combined into USA and they are aggregated. Like if you combine these two values, you'll get 2000.
Yes, sir.
So continue.
and the next one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So this is drill down. So drill down is the river roll up
Roll up.
operation, and you
Mm,
can see from the cubes we can observe that you watch the Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 is breaks into months, and also you can see the values also distributed into the three. Like you add
mm,
150, then it becomes 400.
Yes, yes.
mm.
So basically, it is the reverse of roll up operation.
Yes.
Okay.
So you are
Mm,
actually trying to zoom in the data into the
And
database and finding in detail knowledge of what exactly that value is.
okay, sir.
and third one is slice and dice operation. So in slice operation, one dimension is selected and a new subcube is created from that dimension. You can see here. So
So we are making a table from there.
you
Yes,
can
yes. We are creating a
2D.
one more cube from the existing cube.
Okay.
yes, sir. And the difference between slice and dice is we can make more than one. Like in this, we selected a single dimension. In dice, we can select a multiple dimension to make a new cube from an existing cube. बस डाइस का
Okay.
पिक्चर so
This is dice
Mm-hmm.
operation. So you have
yeah,
selected
you
two
can see.
dimensions from each facts basically. You have selected
Yes,
only
sir.
mobile and modem, then type
And the
for
next,
Q1 and Q2 and locations
um,
Toronto and Vancouver. Okay,
Mm,
this is dice operation. This last one.
answer pivot. Yes, in pivot, you rotate the data axis to provide a substitute presentation of data. You can see in the following example,
mm,
the item types, mobile, modem, phone, security are rotated, and we can see it in the different axes.
Yes.
See
mm.
the picture, it is clear from the picture. You can see.
Yes, but what is the use of
Basically alternative view of
We have a different
database.
perspective of uh, we can view.
Like this, Rahul. Say
mm-hmm.
for example, you are viewing the cricket scores, for example, who has scored more runs. Okay, so it will be always top to bottom, right? I mean, the person who has scored highest runs will be on the top, then the next person who has scored stage, that name will be there. Suppose if you want to reverse that, you can reverse it from
Yes, sir.
least to most. I mean, least value to most value, correct? Who has scored less, then
Yes, sir.
It's a
last
perfect example,
who has
sir.
scored more. Yes, yes. So basically alternative view of the same data, so that you want to concentrate on different values, right?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
So these are four operations of
Like if you
OLAP.
want to
Yeah, tell me.
OLAP.
These are four operations of OLAP which we discussed yesterday. Okay, any doubt?
Yes, sir. Understood, sir. Yes, sir. Mm, no, sir. Mostly no. So what explain
Yes. So moving on to the difference between OLAP and OLTP. I think this one I explained you in the beginning, right? Basically, I was talking about BI. What is the use of BI? Then what are the tools, softwares we need to use? And in that software, what at most like what particular facts and topics we will be learning. So OLAP is the one thing which we will be learning in detail later on. So before that, we need to know why OLTP and why OLAP, because in this particular subject, our job is to study business intelligence, right? So why particularly we are concentrating on OLAP, we need to understand. So the basically difference we have listed here. So OLTP is basically online transaction system. It manages database modification. OLAP is an online analysis and data retrieving process. So it doesn't modify the existing database. What does it do? It just stores the data which you can use it for analysis purpose. So characteristic, it is characterized by large number of short online transactions. So I gave you examples, right? ATM transactions, then day-to-day operations like at the point of sale services. But OLAP is characterized by large volume of data, right? You are combining data from heterogeneous sources and storing at one place. That is OLAP. Though functionality, OLTP is an online database modifying system. OLAP is an online database query management system. So basically, you are not altering the existing database. You are just, querying it for the analyzing purpose. Then method is OLTP uses traditional DBMS. That is, traditional DBMS is basically what we discussed about two-dimensional data model, right? Where we store the data in terms of rows and columns. But OLAP uses the data warehouse, right? The data warehouse again uses the multi-dimensional data model, like what we discussed previously about OLAP cube. It uses multi-dimensional data model. Then what are the query operations you can perform on OLTP? Insert, update, delete information from the database. So you can perform these operations into OLTP, but in the OLAP you cannot do all this insert, update, delete. What you can do, mostly select operations, only that thing. So you cannot alter, delete or update the database in the OLAP. Then what are the tables basically in the OLTP? Tables in OLTP database are normalized. So again, we are discussing about this normalization I told you, where we try to remove the redundancy from the database. That will be done in OLTP. But in OLAP, we are not going to go in detail about normalization. In fact, we do the denormalization so that we get in detail knowledge of the available data, right? Then source, OLTP and its transactions are the sources of the data, right? OLTP and its transactions. Different OLTP databases become the sources of the data for OLAP. So you will understand this last point. So OLTP and OLAP are interrelated. So different OLTP databases we combine to create one particular data warehouse where we can do apply these OLAP operations. So these are some of the important difference between OLTP and OLAP which you need to know. And why we are concentrating on OLAP? Because our topic is to analyze the data, take some decisions, effective decisions, do some operations on that data which will help us to take an effective decisions. So that is why we are concentrating on OLAP, right? OLTP is not what we are going to worry about. OLAP is the one thing which we will be discussing in detail. Okay, so moving on to the next topic, data mart. I think again I explained about data mart briefly when I was discussing about types of data warehouse. What are the different types of data warehouses? Down three types of data warehouses, if you remember. What are they? Remember this particular slide? Types of data warehouse: enterprise data warehouse, operational data store, and the data mart, right? So we are discussing about what is data mart now, but what are the different types of data warehouses exists, right? Centralized data warehouse is basically provides decision supports across the enterprise. Then operational data store basically refreshed in real time and widely performed for routine activities. Then data mart is a subset of the data warehouse specifically designed for a particular line of business such as sales, finance. In an independent data mart, data can collect directly from the sources. So basically data mart, you can say it is a subset of data warehouse, but the difference is that we are concentrating only one line of business. For example, I want to collect only sales related data, so I will create individual data mart for especially sales only. So that is called as a individual data mart, which is a basically subset of data warehouse. Okay, so that's what data mart is focused on a single functional area of an organization, contains a subset of data stored in a data warehouse. Then a data mart is a condensed version of data warehouse and is designed for use by a specific department, unit, or set of users in an organization. So I explained you this concept. Then examples: marketing, sales, HR, or finance. It is often controlled by a single department in an organization, right? It is not across the organization. It is only concerned about the individual departments, so obviously it should be controlled by one particular department of the organization. Then data mart usually draws data from only few sources compared to the data warehouse. So independent sources, from one or two independent sources we collect the data for the data mart. So data marts are all small in size and are more flexible compared to the data warehouse. So that's what, since it is concentrating only on individual department, so obviously the size of the data mart will be less compared to the data warehouse. So this is the overall process of your you know you can say data mart process, and how you are applying different functionalities. So basically you are combining data from different data sources, like operational databases, flat files. Then yesterday I was explaining about staging area. What is staging area, Vivek? I was talking about ETL process, right? What are the three steps in the ETL process?
Exactly, no, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, extraction, transform, load.
Yes. So staging area comes under which particular stage? Which particular step? I mean, extraction or transformation? Does it come under extraction step, or does it come under transformation step? And what exactly we are doing in the staging area?
Mm-hmm. Remember, sir.
Extraction load. Yeah. So what exactly we are doing in the staging area is my question. So you yesterday we also discussed about this ETL process, right? What is extraction, transformation, and load? And basically we collect data from multiple databases, apply the staging area function, then finally we store the values into the data warehouse. So here I have explained in this step, data is extracted from source system into the staging area. Can you see this
You
part?
can make OLAPs, like I think.
Yeah. ETL is an OLAP tool basically. Yeah. So transformations, if
I
any,
think it only comes
yes.
action area.
Extraction area. Transformations, if any, are done in the staging
Yes.
area, right? So what kind of transformation you are doing? Reconcile the records with the source data, make sure that no spam unwanted data is loaded, then you are checking the data type of each values, then removes all the type of duplicate fragmented data, and check whether all the primary keys, foreign keys are placed properly for each individual tables or not. So this is called a staging area, which comes under extraction phase. Then what we do under transformation phase? Both. Do you remember this one I told you yesterday? So some of the problems which we solve in the transformation phase using ETL tools, right?
Yes, sir.
Rahul, can you see the points and
We are
understand?
clearing the redundant data in transform.
Yes. So Rahul, can you see the points and understand what exactly is happening in the transformation phase?
Some reading.
Got it? So I think I
No,
discussed
sorry,
about this.
data cleaning or something.
Yes, it is called as a data
Data
cleaning basically.
cleaning.
So
If any
all this process is basically
missing
ETL,
values.
right? Okay, so this is what we are doing in the staging area, right? So in the staging area we are trying to remove unwanted data, and again cross verifying with the source data, then checking out the data types, all those functionality we are doing in the staging area. Then finally we store that data into the data warehouse. Now what is that I told? Data mart is a subset of data warehouse. So you can see this is a centralized data warehouse system. From this particular centralized data warehouse system, you are creating an individual data marts, so purchasing, sales and inventory, right? And using these individual data marts, you are collecting the reports and doing the analysis and data mining for individual users. So this is the overall functionality of your basically the data warehousing, right? So you collect the data, apply some transformation cleaning techniques, then store the data in the centralized database. Then there are metadata, raw data, summary data. We will discuss that all using some of the examples, right, later on. But understand the overall process. From data warehouse you can create individual data marts, then from the individual data marts you can create the separate reports for each respective users based on what exactly they want from the data warehouse, right? Analytics, reporting and data mining. So again, data mining, I'll discuss few topics from there. So coming to difference between data marts versus data warehouse, so a lot of these differences you need to understand, because exactly we are trying to do and why we are trying to do those concepts, right? So parameter definition for the data warehouse, again large repository of data collected from different organizations, right, departments within a corporation. But it is only a subtype of data warehouse. It is designed to meet the need for only certain user groups. Usage, it helps to take strategic decisions, that is data warehouse. Data mart helps to take tactical decisions for the business. Can you differentiate between strategic decision and tactical decision? Anybody? Give me one real time example. What is tactical decision? What is strategic decision? And see the point, data warehouse deals with the strategic decision and data marts deals with the tactical decision. So in respective with the terminologies you understand, and try to give an example in real time. Yeah, somebody posted. I thought both were same. No, 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 not same, Vivek. Data warehouse is completely different, data mart is completely, basically, yeah, yeah, they are interrelated but not same. You can say they are interrelated. Data mart comes from the data warehouse, but processing is different. Any example for strategic decision and tactical decision? I think you might have heard these terminologies, right? Tactical strategy. Rahul does some strategy when he wants to go out. He will do some bahana and tell to parents and go out. That is strategy. Then what is tactical? सुबह की नींद अभी नहीं गई तुम लोग को?
Hmm. Sir, both of
मुझे
the
तो दोनों
means planning, na sir, planning.
हाँ, दोनों प्लानिंग है, बट एग्जाम्पल दो भाई.
Sir, I think tactical is the bigger implementation, like bigger planning, and strategic decision is
Nice.
a kind of medium
Okay.
planning, not in.
Both said, is it right for comparing with the data warehouse and data mart? So according to suppose, tactical is a long term decision that will be taken care by short term decision that will be taken care by data warehouse. Is that what you are trying to say? Both strategy के किसी
Yes, sir,
specific
kind of.
area को tactical.
Yes, Sudham.
Yeah, Sudhanshu has posted some answer in the chat box. Tactical, exactly. Is that right? Okay. So right, if
मुझे
you
लग रहा है स्ट्रैटेजी
yes, so strategy long term के लिए, tactical short term के लिए. if you read the data warehouse definition, you will understand, right? So what does data warehouse do? It only collects large repository of data, historical data, which can be used for analysis purpose throughout the year for that entire organization, right? So it is not like immediately you want some decision out of it. You just keep collecting the data from heterogeneous databases and keep storing them in the data warehouse. So you need not to analyze it immediately and take certain decisions. So it is a long term plan. First you need to collect, transform it, then extract it, right? Then load it into the database, then you can apply some tools so that you can take the decision. That is data warehouse basically. But data mart is immediately as and when the data is being collected in the data warehouse, you are just picking up certain facts from that data warehouse and creating independent data marts so that you can take immediate decisions. So that is called as a tactical decision. Strategic decision is a long term decision, tactical decision is a short term decision. So I will give an example for this. Okay, suppose say you have a cricket team. So tomorrow you have a match with the RCB and CSK. So CSK wants to win against RCB. So what does it do? It does a lot of planning. Okay, it will decide which players to play at what level. So who has to open, right? Who has to come at the third? Then who has to be the all rounders, and who will take care and the department of bowling. So they will plan accordingly, and they will try to target independent players from the RCB, who which bowler has to target which particular batsman, right? So all this planning they will do in detail, right? Starts, that is strategic decision. Okay, now once the game starts, right, what happens is their plan doesn't work. So obviously whatever the plan they had, like which bowler has to target which batsman, so that plan is not going accordingly. So what does the Dhoni will do? Dhoni will come out of the box and pick some part-time bowler. Say for example, he'll pick Kedar Jadhav, and that Kedar Jadhav will pick up one or two wickets, right? That was not there in the plan, but he took that decision, okay, so that he can counterattack with the plan which is flopped, right? Then that tactic might work based on the current situation, what is going decision. So you understand, right? Tactical decision is something which is ongoing. You are already in the mess, right? And you are trying to solve that mess by using some no alteration with the existing data, right? That is called as a tactical decision. So I hope you understood this point, because it has to be very clear about why data warehouse is strategic, why data mart has been tactical. Okay, so moving on to the objective. The objective of the data warehouse is to provide an integrated environment and coherent pictures of the business at a point in time, right? At a point in time is not immediately, maybe within that year, but data mart used in business division at the department level. So obviously it is not concerned with the entire organization. Independent departments wants to take certain decisions, so they will create their data marts and analyze it. Then designing process of data warehouse is quite difficult, obviously, because it deals with a large database. But the data marts is easy because it only deals with a part of the data warehouse. Then sources again comes from many sources, it is very few sources. Size of the data warehouse may range from 100 GB to 1 TB plus. So this is a minimum size they are giving in real time basically. So the data warehouse size starts from 100 GB to 1 TB plus. Then again the size of data mart is less than 100 GB. Implementation, the implementation process of data warehouse can be extended from months to years, but the implementation process of the data mart is restricted to few months. So these are some of the key. Okay, any doubts you have? Moving on to the next topic, data mining. Okay, again, why data mining? We need to study this subject in this topic. And we have entire data mining subject. I am going to discuss about key topics in that data mining. So if you look into this diagram, you will understand why we need to know data mining concept. Where exactly we're doing mining? Can you see this block, last one? So you create data warehouse from the heterogeneous data source and create independent data marts. Then for these independent data marts, you are either doing analytics, reporting, or data mining, right? Again, these are individual tools using which you can find out certain facts and figures, and which will help you to take the decisions. So here users are, again, it is not a final database. Basically it is something, which we will do after creating the data marts, right? So mining process, we need to know in detail, basically. Okay, what is data mining? Data mining is a looking for hidden, valid, and potentially useful patterns in the huge data set, right? So data mining is all about unknown relationships amongst the data. The insights derived via data mining can be used for marketing, fraud detection, scientific discovery, etc. Then data mining is also called as knowledge discovery, knowledge extraction, data pattern analysis, information harvesting. So you can use a lot of terminologies for data mining, right? But the point here is, what exactly we are trying to learn in the data mining is looking for hidden, valid, potentially useful patterns in the huge data sets. So it is something which you have, the data you have, but you don't know certain information from it, which is hidden. Basically, without applying certain calculations, you will not understand what exactly that data set can give you the information, right? So those things you can learn using data mining techniques. So that is what you are trying to discover unsuspected, previously unknown relationships amongst the data, right? Unknown relationships among the data means you have a huge data set and it has a number of rows and columns. Some or the other way, those data are interrelated, right? So without applying this mining techniques, you may not understand the unsuspected relationship among those rows and columns. So after applying the mining process, you will come to know, okay, so these data are interrelated in some or the other way. So we are trying to learn those concepts again. Okay. Again, this is the data mining process. So first you need to understand the business understanding means what, basically? Anyone can tell me? Business understanding is basically, what type of output you are looking for, and what type of data you want as an output, and which customers you are trying to target, right? So that is called as a business understanding. Then data understanding, so you are basically loading a lot of data from heterogeneous data warehouse, right? Based on those data warehouse, you are trying to know what type of data you finally want to analyze for the data mining. So that is called as data understanding. Now the huge part of the data mining is this third stage, data preparation phase. So I'll be discussing about this topic in detail. Then after data preparation, you have a modeling, okay, then evaluation and deployment. So these two are very important topics. Again, your actual calculations, alterations, applying mathematical functionalities, all those things will be done in these two stages. What are they? Data preparation and modeling. So again, after modeling, you are evaluating is basically whether the goals which you have set based on the business understanding are meeting the requirement or not. So that is evaluation phase. Then the deployment phase, and basically deployment is nothing but whatever the patterns, useful patterns, relationships among the data you got from the data mining process, you are conveying that to the organization. So that is deployment. Basically you are representing them in terms of certain facts and figures using GUI. So that is deployment phase. But we need to understand what is happening in the data preparation phase and what are the operations. So these two topics we will be learning in detail. Okay. So now moving on to the data mining preparation phase. So we call it as pre-processing of the data mining. Okay. There are a lot of pre-processing techniques of the data mining. So we will discuss them one by one. Now the first one is, as I showed you in this diagram, what is that? Data preparation. All these pre-processing techniques comes under data preparation. Now read the points one by one. So under data preparation, what we're doing, the data is made production ready. The data preparation process consumes about 90% times of the project, right? That's why I told you this particular step is huge, and the overall implementation time is consumed only, that is data preparation. That is about 90% of the time. The data from different sources should be selected, cleaned, transformed, and formatted. Okay. So it has a lot of techniques. So under that, the first one is data cleaning. Data cleaning is a process to clean the data by smoothing noisy data and filling in missing values. Okay. What do you mean by noisy data?
What's
Noisy data, noisy data.
which is not arranged
Hmm.
or random data?
Yes, I can't exactly put into words, but I can understand what that might be. Noisy
Tell.
data.
The
Yes,
random
sir.
and unarranged.
Hmm.
Yes, sir. Unarranged kind of what? So,
Yes, yes.
वैसे ही कुछ
Unarranged kind of data.
not.
Mm, exactly. Or you can say corrupted data. That is one type of noisy data, right? We will see in detail examples and operations, dealing with the noisy data. But as you told, that is correct. Unarranged data, corrupted data, right? So all those comes under noisy data. And data that is deviates from certain fact, right? I want to basically figure out the people, I mean the students who have scored 35%, minimum 35% in that subject. Okay, now when I'm filtering out, I'm getting out of the box two or three students where it is showing me 120%. Okay, so obviously it is not possible. A student cannot get more than 100. So what that 120% data, we can call it as noisy data. So obviously you need to filter out or see why that data is coming from, why it is coming, basically how it happened. So you are analyzing that, and you are trying to remove that redundancy, right? So that can be called as a noisy data. So here again few example I've given. So for a customer demographic profile, age data is missing. Okay, the data is incomplete and should be filled. This is one type of data cleaning. And in some cases there could be data outliers. Again, as I told you, outliers is basically something deviates from the prefixed value. So if 35 is my prefixed threshold value, means obviously all the data should follow, between 0 to 35. So it cannot exist more than 35. So that is called as an outlier. So for instance, age as a value 300, data could be inconsistent. Obviously age value cannot be more than 100, right? Normally in the nobody can live for 300 years, so that is called as an outlier. So the data is called as inconsistent, so it has to be taken care. So for instance, name of the customer is different in different tables. So for same customer you are applying different names in the different tables. Again, that is one type of noisy data. So all this comes under data cleaning, which we call it as a smoothing of the data. Smoothing is basically what, this only taking care of all such errors, unfilled data, incomplete data, we call them as a smoothing data, right? And after the data cleaning, we apply the data transformation operations. So what does they do? These operations change the data to make it useful in the data mining. So there are certain steps which we will be learning in detail. So overall picture is that the data preparation consumes about how many percentage of your project, 90% of your project. And this phase will help you to prepare the data which is production ready. Production ready is basically you can apply some mathematical models onto those prepared data and come to certain conclusions. So this preparation, data preparation phase is very important. Now coming to the first step in your data mining pre-processing. So as I said, there are three steps. Okay, step one is data cleaning, step two is data transformation, and the step three is data reduction. Okay, these are the three steps in the data mining pre-processing of the data which we are collecting from data warehouse. See the point. The data cleaning process, the data can have irrelevant and missing parts. To handle this part, data cleaning is done. It involves handling of missing data, noisy data, etc. So I mentioned that in the previous slide. The first one is missing data. This situation data, it can be handled in various ways. So how you want to handle the missing data from the database? So some of them are ignore the tuples. So ignoring the tuples means what you are doing, you are actually approach is suitable only when the data set we have is quite large and multiple values are missing within a tuple. Can you tell me in what type of cases you can ignore the tuples? Any examples? Tell you what, a row in your database. So they are telling you can remove the entire row itself. And why it is approach is not feasible in all the cases. So they have mentioned this approach is suitable only when the data set we have is quite large and multiple values are missing within the tuple. In that case only you can ignore the complete tuple. But in what type of cases we can do this operation? And whether it is feasible.
Sir, the case has already been
Sir,
mentioned in the notes.
Have a
Also good.
database, right? You have a database, and you are trying to smoothen the data, right? And
sir,
you are trying to apply this missing data, right? So instead of applying the missing data, you are ignoring the entire tuple itself. In real time, what type of values we can remove, or
sir, if the
yeah, tell me.
sir, if the data is not much important in the whole scenario, like in the whole table, that tuple is
Mm-hmm.
not necessary or invisible,
See, the point you need to
not
understand
that
here is,
significant.
yes, yes. The point you need to understand here is that the data is already there. I mean, you have already collected it. So using data mining, what we are doing just analysis, right? We are not again storing, we are not concerned with the storing of the data in the data mining process. We are trying to analyze the existing data, right? So while analyzing, you can ignore some of the tuples is what they're trying to say. Okay. So uh, whether it is important, whether it is not important, again, that is not the data mining analyze the existing data. So while analyzing, so it might happen that you can ignore one or two tuples from the database. So say for example, I have a list of data for 100 students. Okay. I have a list of data for 100 students where it shows how many marks they have scored for each subject, and what is the overall CGPA they have scored, right? Now what I want to do, I want to analyze, okay, how many have scored between 60 to 70, then how many have scored between 70 to 80, then 80 to 90. Okay, so like that I want to divide three groups and put the 100 students data into those individual three groups. Okay, so it happens that in one of the students case, he might have fallen ill, or he might have discontinued from the course. I have only one or two semester details of that student. Okay, so what I can do, I can instead of 8 semesters, I have only one or two semester details of that student. So I can just remove those details of that particular student. Okay, so it doesn't matter much. It doesn't change the output value much, right? So out of 100, if you remove one student data, so it doesn't affect your calculations as much, right? So in such cases, you can ignore the tuples. Only when your database is large, right? Only when your database is large, and ignoring such values will not affect your key decision, right? So that is called as ignoring the tuples. Then the second one is fill in the missing values. Again, you are not ignoring the tuple, but instead of that, you are filling in the missing values. So what we are doing, there are various ways to do this task. You can choose to fill the missing values manually, or by attribute mean, or the most probable value. Can you tell me what you mean by attribute mean, or the most probable value, or manually?
So manually means if it is the weight of a person, then if we can see his height and age, and we can put a
Yes,
appropriate
yes.
value manually.
Very
Or
nice
else
example.
attribute means
Very good example, right?
like taking. Actually, I've seen it somewhere.
Hmm.
Uh, and for attribute means that we take the entire mean of the data set and we put in, we substitute it there.
Entire mean of the data set.
Most probable value, I don't have an idea.
Yes, entire mean of the data
मतलब
set.
that weight category.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Like if it is for weight,
Yes, yes,
yes, sir.
correct. Yeah. So basically, what happens is whatever Rahul said is correct. Suppose if you are trying to collect customer details, right, and do analysis. So say for example, you want to analyze from the age group of between 20 to 30 years. Okay, from the age group of between 20 to 30 years, what type of items they are purchasing from the organization, or any, you can say, big bazaar or shopping cart, whatever organization you want to take. So basically you want to analyze what type of items they are trying to purchase what is the age group from 20 to 30 years. Now you have already collected the data, right? When they do the operations, I mean when they purchase, you might have collected their data. But for few one or few customers, maybe that weight, height data is missing. So what you can do, you can take the mean value. Mean value is basically average. So you can take the average value of, say, you have 100 customers details. You can take the average height and weight of 100 customers, and for the person for whom that a height and weight value is missing, you can put that average value. Okay, so that while doing the overall analysis, so it doesn't affect the output much. That is called as attribute mean. So height and weights are the attribute here, and you are trying to take the average of those two attributes. So that is called as attribute mean. Or the most probable value means, again, it is just again a random thing. You are trying to guess the value for that particular attributes, like what Rahul said. You are trying to guess the weight based on looks and height and based on basically the looks of that person. You can try to guess the height and weight of that person. Manually means basically you can just put it 0 or randomly 35, something like that, manually. But most probable value means you have some reference by seeing what exactly the customer looks like. You can put that particular height and weight value. So these are two types of handling the missing data. Then noisy data means meaningless data that cannot be interpreted by machines. It can be generated due to faulty data collection, data entry errors, right? So that is called as noisy data. What do you mean by faulty data here? They have mentioned it is generated by due to faulty data collection, right? Suppose, say, you are talking to somebody, and while typing, instead of typing the name, you type something randomly. Okay, like ABCDQFG, something like that. So that cannot be a name of the person, right? So it can be called as a faulty data collection. So those kind of noisy data should also be handled. Now, what are the types of handling this noisy data? We need to understand. Okay, a lot of techniques are there, so they are interrelated. So you should not confuse like what topic comes under which particular step. Now this noisy data processings are these three. Okay, so understand that these two comes under missing data. Then these three processes comes under handling the noisy data. So first one is binning method. So in the binning method, the method works on the sorted data in order to smooth it. The whole data is divided into segments of equal size, and then various methods are performed to complete the task. Okay, each segment is handled separately. One can replace all data in a segment by its mean or boundary values, or can be used to complete the task. Again, just like handling the missing data, we are doing the